Okay, I just want to make sure that we are indeed recording. I sure hope we are, because there's a ... next to the recording. It's happening. Okay. So I'll start up. Welcome to Charlie's Desk. This is a very special edition of Charlie's Desk because we have our first guest desk. And it is, after publicly displaying my mental math skills in my last video, I felt I had to consult a mathematician. Just kidding. Me and Gabe have been friends since first grade, and he watched one of the videos and asked a really cool question, and Gabe is now a math teacher. And we started to have a cool conversation. And so the subject of today's video is just two different ways of representing mathematical information that is typically graphed. And so Gabe is going to introduce his desk, talk about what's on there. I'll talk about what's on my desk, and then we'll just talk about, we'll create two different representations of some mathematical information. And so, with that, I'd like to introduce my friend Gabe.
All right, thank you, Charlie. It's an honor to be on Charlie's desk, on your desk. And well, my desk isn't quite as, I would say, practical as yours.
Don't say that.
You have all these cool tools, and I'm not that handy. So my cool tool is a laptop, which is right in front of me at 6 o'clock. And it's one of those 2-in-1 laptops that has, like a hinge like a regular laptop, but it can fold fully over to turn into like a tablet. So the keyboard.
Ooh, very cool. I like that.
Yeah, so I was gonna kind of have it in tablet mode, which I just turned into, with like the keyboard in the bottom and the screen on top. But then I don't really know how to use it that well, the keyboard. So
it's okay. We don't need to see it. We just need to know it's there.
Yeah, and I think the important thing for viewers is it's very precarious, where there's like a keyboard hanging off. It's not flat, and the keyboard's like hanging off the edge.
I would like to point out that Gabe is using a very large tripod, and it appears to me that his phone camera is positioned about 6 feet above him. I don't think that's what it is, but I just want to applaud that ingenuity.
It's probably 4 or 4.5 feet, and it's also precarious. The phone just like lying flat in it.
Oh, it's just balancing. That's okay. So Gabe is on his computer and his phone Zoom. So we're going to do some switching because we're trying some new stuff. But I asked Gabe to bring a couple things just to, introduce himself to us. So looks like you have 3 other things there.
Yeah. So at 3 o'clock, I've got a ultimate frisbee disc, and it is white plastic. It is 185 grams. I know that, and it's like a pie plate. It's face up right now, so the cavity is facing downwards. And it's
one of the things we talked about that I really appreciate that you just did is that sound you made with it. One of the viewers was like, "Yeah, good job making sounds, Charlie. You can tell so much about an object from the sound it makes."
Yeah, I've actually enjoyed that about your videos. I don't know, it awakens the senses in a kind of new way for me.
Yeah.
And another cool thing that I was thinking about is on the top of the disc. I don't know if you can see, but there are these.
Move it to the left a little bit, I think. Over to the center of the clock, I guess. A little sticking clock face, a little more closer to the tripod legs. Between the two of them. That's fine. You're good. That's perfect. I can see there's a flying guy in front of, looks like the Capitol buildings.
Yeah.
And the flying guy is in blue. Is that actually you, Gabe? Gabe is a very good ultimate frisbee player. Gabe and I grew up playing games. Gabe is very good at running and jumping and catching. So that makes him good at a lot of games.
Yes.
Throwing. Running, jumping, catching, and throwing.
We've trained together, so you can help accomplish this. We've had some very good 21 basketball games in our youth. So.
It's true. So Gabe is from DC, and he's a Frisbee player. Is there anything else that the Frisbee kind of you wanted to communicate with that?
What I was interested in is there's these little, I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
There's these concentric, very small rings on the disc, and they're for when you're holding the disc, most of your fingers are underneath and your thumb is on top. And it's a little grip. It's like a little textured grip, so you can kind of, which is cool.
Very good. Yeah, no, that's important. And we don't think about that kind of information that much, you know. I feel like vision takes over, and then you just assume everything is visual when so much of it is other stuff. Looks like you got a cool painting too.
Okay, so this was kind of random, but this is a puzzle. It's called
a puzzle.
It's at 12 o'clock. It's called Space A to Z, and we bought it for my nephew Lior. You know my brother Evan. Have you met Lior?
Yep, I've met Lior. I've met Evan. Great guys.
And that's been sitting on my desk for a long time because we haven't seen him in a while because of this pandemic. So we're hoping to see him in August. Give him this this cool puzzle with, it says like A for astronaut, B for black hole, C for comet. There's A through Z of these kind of shapes.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is the astronaut shaped like an A, or does it just the shape?
Bring it a little closer.
Yeah, bring it a little closer.
The astronaut is shaped
like... Oh, cool. Yeah, I get it. That's very awesome. So each puzzle piece is in the shape of, a planet or a telescope or a rocket ship, and then it has the letter on it. So that could be a fun, accessible thing, even if you just, there'd be a lot of ways to make that cool and accessible, and it looks like it's nice, made of wood.
Yeah, and like some of the shapes definitely stand out. Like Saturn, S for Saturn is like an orb with kind of rings sticking out. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the starry sky stuff might need a little bit more adapting, let's say, but totally possible. Totally a cool toy. Love it.
So that's kind of fun.
You picked good objects. We know so much about you from just two.
Two things.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I'll keep it quick, is we just got this. It's a metal, 8-inch diameter frying pan for camping. So it's also cool. Some cool little rings in the bottom that I guess provide grip if you put it on a grill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's blue.
The bottom a little thicker. Yeah, it is blue. It's nice. Is it tin or something? It sounds thin.
The top is like the Teflon.
Oh yeah, I can see non-stick. Oh, it's still got the sticker, so it's yet to be used.
Fresh. It's fresh. We're gonna go camping tomorrow in Shenandoah Mountain, Shenandoah National Park. That's been on my mind. So, and there's this cool little.
That's very exciting.
That fits into it. So that's just something that's on my mind.
Yeah. So there's multiple pieces. There's like you're holding like a frying pan.
Yes.
And then it looks like, is there like a whole, like, is there a bowl and a cover? Is there anything else inside that bowl that's turned over?
Nice little
cup
bowl.
Too. And now is that a plate or also something you can cook with? Because it kind of looks like a fry pan. Can you move the handle to it?
Fry pan. And then I think if you flip it over, it can be a lid to the original one.
Does it have a thing where you can put the handle that's on the boiling pot onto the frying pan?
Yeah, so both of them have like a little, I don't know, would you call this a bracket? Where
it's a bracket.
Flip in the handle to either the small frying pan, which is also a lid, or the big frying pan.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, it's a pretty sweet thing for camping. It's light metal, and so it's 2 cooking pots, a bowl and a cup, and then a detachable handle. And so one of the pots is deeper if you want to boil water, and then one is more frying pan, and then you have your bowl and your cup, and they all kind of nest and close over each other and fit in the backpack okay.
Yeah.
And you could even throw some rice in there, in a Ziploc bag, fill up the space there.
Yeah, exactly. It's really kind of ingenious how it's designed. I took us a little off track, Charlie, but
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm going to, I don't know. I want to spotlight my video. Yeah, so I did that for everyone. Now, okay. So I want to talk about my desk. So right now on my desk, I found out with Zoom recording, I can't do as wide angle of view as I want to do, but I have my materials for non-visual representation. So I have like a large clipboard sized piece of thin sanded plywood. I don't know, man. It's like by 8 by, it's big. It's 10 by 12. Let's say it's 10 by 12. Then I have a scrap of fabric that I've folded over a couple times. It appears light blue, but is actually a herringbone pattern of dark blue and white. So, but color-wise, it appears light blue to the camera.
Charlie, what is that what's a herringbone pattern?
Oh, herringbone pattern. Imagine a zigzag line of one color, dark blue, and then another zigzag line on top of that of white, and then sandwich on dark blue. And so those zigzag lines go all the way across the fabric, and it creates a pattern where it's a color effect, which this would be the math of colors, but right. So it looks light blue to the camera, but if you look closely, it's actually composed of zigzag stripes of two more highly contrasting colors. So I have that because it's fabric, because I want to be embossing some lines on paper. Okay, so we don't need to get super duper fancy. I do have this sweet H. Schober ruler here, and I have also a nail, right? That's going to be useful. And then I have some little embossing things. You can get stuff like this on the internet. It's kind of like a little tiny, I don't know, ninja star type pen that you just roll across paper, and it marks little holes in it, like a spur almost. And I have one that's one row of little spikes and one that's 2 rows. So I can make 3 different kinds of lines. A double dotted line, a single dotted line, and just a continuous line with the nail. So it's like I have 3 different colors I can use. I have a little bit thicker 8.5 by 11 piece of Braille paper on the desk. I have a blindfold on the desk just because maybe I'll try some representational drawing of what Gabe is doing while I'm blindfold. And then I have a flashlight over in the corner, and I've found out that if I shine this light at a certain angle for the sighted viewers, they'll be able to see maybe the tactile line a little bit better. So now I'm going to try, and now that I've introduced my desk, I want to hand it over to Gabe, but I want to make sure first that I like unpin my video so he can take over.
Okay, and can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
So I switched over to my laptop being my...
Oh, you're doing that? You're so clutch. I'm like totally struggling here to like
I've got
change my video settings. Do you know how you take over the video? I pinned my video. Now I want to unpin it. It's not in meeting settings.
I don't know. This is my first time zooming on a phone. I guess my trick was, this is a teacher trick I learned, is while you were talking, I was doing all my stuff. So that I was like,
man, will you start talking and hopefully we'll get it over to your screen?
Yeah, well here.
About what you're going to do?
Maybe this will
Okay, share your screen. Hopefully it'll take over.
Okay. Can you see it now?
It's yes.
Look at that. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So what I have here is, it's a website called Desmos.com, and it's DESMOS. And I discovered it a few years ago. It's a really cool graphing calculator. So you can put in an equation and it visualizes it. So you can put in like y = x, and it makes like a straight line. And so I teach high school math, and for me it's really valuable. We learn a lot of algebra of like equations, and to really conceptually understand, I think it's really important to see different representations. So my
my first different representation often is a visual, because if you can see it, then it shows the patterns. But in talking with you, I kind of realized that it's like visual representation isn't the only other kind of representation. And audio was one I was interested in. And this website has some really cool accessibility features that allows for that.
So you're saying, as a math teacher, to you, it doesn't matter so much that you can see it. Whatever helps you understand the idea behind it, whether it's a sound or a picture or something you feel or something else, is it kind of like whatever works that gets the idea across?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly it. I mean, I think I like just knowing it in different ways is really useful. And I think visualizing is one that most math teachers go to.
And a lot of blind people do tell me that they visualize too.
Yeah.
But like, and that's also like another thing that we should say is it's okay to use visual metaphors and language with people who are blind, say, see you later and all that stuff. And some, blind people are very, very visual. I use very visual terms describing things, but obviously would maybe not have visual access to something. So having another metaphor in your tool belt as a teacher is a cool thing. And I think what Gabe is about to sort of show us with this resource, which we'll link to it if that's possible, is a different way of representing some math information. And this, we're all about different ways of accessing things. So
yeah. So like here, I'm going to put up a graph. This first graph is y equals 1/2 x. And so that's one representation, that equation, y equals 1/2 x. And another way to think about it is what does that equation mean? You take the x value, which is the horizontal axis. And if you want to find how tall it is, you take how far it is to the right and you have it. So if your x value is 4, then the y value is half of 4, it's 2. And as x value is 10, your y value is 5. So you can kind of imagine as we go to the right, we're going upwards, but not quite. It's not like a super steep line because this 1/2 thing kind of keeps it flattish.
Okay, so cool. So that equation is a way to talk about a slope, I suppose.
Yeah.
So visually it looks, it's like a line on a graph. And if you're looking at it from like left and to right, and if there's like 4 quadrants to this graph, you have your x-axis. That's the one that goes vertically, right? No, y-axis goes vertically. Y-axis vertical?
Y is up and down, yeah.
One? Okay. And horizontal is x, right? So that creates 4 quadrants. So for this equation, left to right, it starts in the lower quadrant and cuts through the middle and goes up. And then if you were walking up a hill, that'd be pretty steep though.
Yeah.
Is that a 45-degree angle?
I think this would be half of that. I think this would be a 22.5-degree angle.
Oh, okay. It's a 22.5-degree angle.
But
that's steep, man.
The numbers lie there, right? Like that's like, it looks really steep. It looks steeper than that number, I would say.
Yeah, I have no idea, but just for some like descriptive around what it looks like visually. So we could describe it with numbers. You could describe it with a table of numbers, right?
Right.
Like 2 different things, or this line, or a metaphor about a hill, or a percentage in a plan for an architect or whatever. Oh, Gabe is pulling up he's pulling up a table view.
This tool just does it for you. That's what's cool. So yeah. It's like, I think back, Charlie, to our youth when we would go to NHD, which is now CVS. And
killing me.
They had those 50-cent candy bars. I used to get them all the time. And so like, I don't know, this is like, if you wanted to like make a calculation for if you sell X amount of candy bars, what's your income? Well, it's 1/2 X. So if I have 10 candy bars, I've made $5. So like you could use this equation. That's a simple example, but like that's one way I would teach my kids.
Are you saying you were like buying candy bars in bulk from NHD and hustling? Is that what you're saying?
Money. anything, but if I did, we could have made some money.
What was that place, Christie's?
Oh, that was
You remember Christie's?
That was a little food market.
It's a daycare place now. It was a convenience store where we also got candy, but we got to stay on topic.
Right.
So we have the table view, and then what else can we show?
Okay,
with this,
so we're
this
getting
thing?
to the part that is exciting.
No, I think this is all
cool.
gold. This is all gold. This is what happens when you know.
It's the summer for me, so
it's the summer for me too.
Always. Okay, so here's the cool thing. I found this feature called Audio Trace, and there's a couple of ways to do it. So I've just turned it on. One way is to just toggle to the right, and there's a frequency that's associated, I think, with how tall it is. So as it goes up on the y-axis, the frequency gets higher. So I'm going to kind of go to the right on this graph. I'm starting at the origin, like 0, 0. I'm going to the right. Let's see if this sound works.
Okay, it might be loud, guys.
Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
So you get the sense of what's happening. We're like...
Yeah, exactly. I'm going upwards, or something's getting closer to something.
To me, emotionally, I'm getting a little tenser as you're going up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, is what you're saying that like when you're conveying this information through a sound, it's associated with like a feeling. Whereas if you look at a table of numbers or the graph, you're not really going to have a feeling. But as a frequency, that's very interesting. Okay, well, that's a pretty straightforward line. What about some of the more interestingly shaped graphs?
Okay, let's see. Okay, so here's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to start at the beginning again, and I'm just going to run it through, at its own speed. So let's see. So that's it just going. And now I'm going to do another graph. And here, how about this? What if I played the sound and you don't look, and see if you can tell me what's different?
Okay.
About this graph? You want to try
sure. Yes, I do. I do want to do that. I'm going to try and just draw an X and Y axis first, just to get prepped.
And then let's see if you can...
And you're just doing... Oh, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to use one of my lines to be, one of the axes. And then I'm going to use the one. So I have a single dotted line is I'll just call it the X one. And then my double dotted line is the Y one. Come on.
And one thing that I would do if I was teaching this is I would maybe have my students do this first graph that we talked so much about, the y equals 1. You don't have to do this. But I might say, put this on your graph and call it the parent function. And now I'm going to play this new graph and just kind of think about... Oh,
you want me to put it and be the parent function? Okay, so this is the other thing. It's like, okay, so I'm marking it from behind. Right, so this is the same thing that when people are making Braille using a slate and stylus, they're doing it upside down and backwards. So what do you call that in math? Like a transfer?
Yeah, transformation. What? So you are...
Yeah, so I have to do a transformation in my head. So I want it to go from here, if I'm drawing it upside down. Oh, is this the same?
Yes, because of the y equals x is like, it reflects onto itself. That's a special,
it's bilaterally symmetrical.
Just one specific equation kind of has that,
Okay. Well, I'll put on my blindfold. That is the function. Oh, maybe I have to.
You might want to make it extra steep so that when it's flipped, it's extra flat.
Yeah. Okay. I actually have to double mark this. I have to mark it from both sides.
All right, I'm excited
because I need to be able to feel the axes from both sides to draw it. So I should do that. Learning as we go. Now I just, I will have a TVI on the show too. I just think it's really cool to, this is about everyone, and not just like stuff that like, I don't know, everybody teaching everybody. I think this is like, Gabe and I have had a very interesting learning just in this conversation. Okay, so now I have marked both sides, so I can feel the X and Y axis. That feels fair. Now I'm going to try and draw the, what do you call it?
The parent function.
Okay.
And you have some experience with this parent function. Like, you know it pretty well at this point.
Yeah. I feel like I know what's going on.
So that's why it's a good kind of like baseline. And then when we do the second one, you could just think about how is it different instead of like trying to learn everything about it.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, I'll go. Yeah, let's go.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the next one, and I'll just play it through like I did the last one and see if you can think out what's different about it.
Okay. Oh. Okay. I think that is steeper.
Yes.
That's what I think. So, that's too easy. I don't want to crowd up my drawing yet.
Okay.
That one was steeper.
Okay, cool. So
because it sounded like it started from a lower tone and went up higher faster.
Yep, that's exactly it. So that was y equals 4x. So instead of it being half, cool. it quadrupled. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to do a whole different kind of function now. So maybe the parent function idea doesn't make sense because we're now going into a whole different.
That's cool. It's not taking up too much space. I didn't want to crowd it up too much.
All right, let's try this one.
It's all clear. Okay.
You ready? And you can decide. Yeah. I have like a few, so you can decide which one you want to draw. It's coming.
Okay. I'll draw it and then I'll say what I think. Okay, so I think it started high.
Yeah.
It went down low. And then it went back up again. And it reminded me of the thing from the cartoon. You saw the way that my hand moved. I would guess that that's a parabola.
Yeah, you got it.
Sick.
Did you hear the little like bloop bloop at some point?
Yeah, what's the bloop? I also keep thinking you're messing with me because there's this like sound of like fuzz in the beginning. Yeah. And I keep thinking like, okay, what's this? What's the graph of fuzz? Real funny, but it's not that. That's just there. Yeah.
They put that on purpose. That's to show that it's playing and it's like off the grid at the moment.
Okay. So you're aware. Listen up. It's kind of a listen up sound.
Yeah, because with this parabola, at beginning like you can't see it it's kind of narrow. So at the beginning, when you're going from left to right, there's nothing, and then we're at the top of the parabola.
So I'm gonna flip the drawing and then for our sighted viewers see I'm shining a flashlight at a low angle. That looks like a parabola, right?
That's good, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
it's a little, my pressure is a little uneven. I would say it looks like I jabbed some holes, but I'm new at drawing tactily, so there you go. And I will say I do think it was a good idea to have different line weights for X and Y axis, just for my sake, for easily feeling the difference. I mean, I could think about it and tell the difference, but just having two, I feel more secure. All right, I just wanted to check and make sure we were still recording.
And
back in my seat. Find my nail again. There it is.
Charlie, it's cool you mentioned the line weight because this program has different colors and it's the same thing.
So it's low vision accessible to. It sounds like it's trying to be accessible to a lot of different people.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. There's reverse contrast too. Maybe this is even better. Yep. So one thing I wanted to mention was that little bloop bloop thing that you heard.
Yeah, what's the bloop bloop?
Was the key points of the graph, which in this case looks like when that parabola
the two top notes, the end points.
It was actually the origin and when it crosses that other graph from before. So I still had the straight line, the sloped line, and
that's an interesting bloop. So if there's more intersections, there's more bloops.
Yeah. So here.
Interesting.
This.
No, leave the bloops. Leave the bloops. Don't mess with it. Now that I know what it is, it's like the circle of fifths, right? You've added one sharp.
Yeah.
Now that we have 2 things, we got to add another one. Oh, I lost my nail. I got it again. We're good.
So you can build some complex stuff here, and because I think it's kind of cool that it connects to those graphs. Do you want to hear another crazy one?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna know what this is. This is.
Yeah, you gave me a clue. Yeah, it's a French police siren.
Yeah, it really is.
Right? No, here, let me find my axes. So it sounds like it goes, okay. That's right here. It goes up and then down and then up and then down. And it was kind of felt like slow and gentle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm drawing the line, like it felt slow and gentle. That's why I said French police car, because I like, it was a joke. But it didn't sound like it sounded like a siren, but not like, yeah. Oh, we talked about this before we started recording, but like how, sirens are maybe a certain frequency to catch your attention.
Yeah, I wonder.
And so like that seems like I could hear that and be like, oh, I'm good.
We can do some.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna mess with this graph a little bit.
Do a really intense siren.
So I can raise the amplitude of this. So this is now y equals 5 times sine x, which means the peaks are 5 times higher and the values are 5 times lower. So if you imagine it up and down,
that's intense. That's intense.
We would call that a vertical stretch because everything's just like it went from little hills to big mountains.
Okay.
So let's see what it sounds like. That sounds like a cartoon.
And now the bloops are coming in, and it's great. So you really get the sense of all the graphs on the page, which I think is hilarious. So I don't even know, like with the graph that I drew, so now I need to flip it over to check what it looks like. Oh, I didn't press hard enough. Can you see it? I can't see it. I can't feel it. Yeah, I didn't press hard enough. So I can't feel it. I can just barely see it. All right, that's a learning thing. I don't think I have enough room on this graph paper to do enough amplitude. But I have a question for you, and I'll see if you can do this. So I want the sound of a space laser. So I don't want it to. I mean, I want to move it up on the graph. I want the frequency to be higher. I don't want it to go low. I want it to be fast. I want it to be high frequency. You know what I mean?
Okay, I have an idea. And
how do I get that?
Of an exponential.
Can you give me laser, math man? Not laser. Sorry, space ray.
Yeah, like boo. Okay.
Yeah.
Boo. So it starts high and gets lower frequency. Right?
No, it's still a sine wave. It's still a sine wave. I'm talking about like a sine wave that's just higher up on the y-axis.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna take our graph, and I'm gonna do a
maybe smaller, not like such big peaks and troughs, like smaller and higher up.
Okay, let's try this. Yeah. I've taken our original sine function, and I've added 5 to it, so it's just like vertically pushed upwards.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what I want.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it needs to be faster.
Stop. Sorry. That's okay. It's
That's fine. It needs to be faster.
Okay, I can do that.
How do you do that?
Okay, so this is called a horizontal shrink. So I'm making it super tight.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
So like if you imagine I'm thinking like a heart rate monitor, how it does that like up down.
Yeah, maybe I'll draw what I want.
Yeah, and maybe I can try to match it.
I'll draw what I want. So I'm going up. I'm using my finger to go up to the top of the y-axis. And then I'm just going to start there. And I want it like, oh, God. I mean, maybe you'll get more from just seeing my hand move. Yeah, the nail isn't the best embossing tool.
Have you tried using the little spurs?
I'll try using the little spurs.
Can you do curves on those?
Oh, yeah, the spurs are so much easier. I mean, why am I messing around? Okay. Oh, this is just a million times better. I was like, I'm gonna use a nail. I'm so cool. You can get embossing kits for like Oh, and so that's the good thing about having the cloth. There's some give, and then the wood. You don't mess up your table. Yeah, I want that, man.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let's see. I think I got it. I'm gonna try it. You ready?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. That awful sound was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, it's a little alarming, but there's something else.
It's alarming.
I don't know if we need to listen again, but there's something strange going on, which is this thing's repeating over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But at the end, it wasn't the same sound as beginning. Did you notice that?
Let's listen again.
Okay, I think it starts like it should be the exact same thing repeating, but here, let's listen. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's try it.
Oh, it
Did
changes
get quieter?
tone. No, it changes tone as it crosses over the y-axis. I believe. So there's a dot that is traveling along this sine wave function, which is it's a squiggly line. I don't know. That's a pretty good description of it.
Yeah.
So it's a squiggly line. So the pitch is going up and down, right? The frequency, but then the tone is something different that I'm forgetting, and we'll post it. But there's some change in the sound that's not frequency, it's tone. And I think so you watch the dot proceed along the squiggly line, and then when the dot crosses over, and that's moving from left to right, and then when it crosses over this line in the middle, which is the y-axis, the tone changed. So maybe there's some change between quadrants.
That's cool. Yeah, and that was
this is a sweet thing.
That was purposeful, right? Like the designers of this were like, we wanted to change tone to show that it's a different quadrant. That's like some extra information. That's kind of cool.
Well, that's very cool. Well, yeah, I mean, it's trickier to represent this stuff non-visually,
but this is something
but it's so cool. You learn, that's just like, okay, so when I was learning sign language, I learned a ton about language. I mean, that can be best summed up as idioms, like you don't say word for word, who let the cat out of the bag in sign language necessarily, because that could be very confusing. There would be other ways to say, like, who ruined the surprise party? It was Charlie. He ran into Evan in the park, Gabe's brother, right before his birthday. Who let the cat out of the bag? So thinking about idioms and language that way, and then learning Braille, like grade 1, right? You're kind of representing every letter with a singular, Braille cell. And then in grade 2, I learned so much about language because you learn, it's like, okay, there's so many examples of like ER. So we have a contraction for that. And there's also a contraction like one cell for the word and there's so many words with the word and in it. Understand, right? That also has an ER and an ST. And so, and there's rules, I don't want to mess it up, but like, so with grade 2, you can write a really long word just because of the way, language works. Like words are made up of parts and pieces. And so learning about Braille and this code for English was so cool. And it was driven by this efficiency. And efficiency for me is always connected to like laziness. One of my favorite like stories is, Cheaper by the Dozen, those books? Like the movies are not about it. I love the books, but the Frank Galbraith, right? He would study the laziest person in the factory. He was a motion study guy, an efficiency expert, right? He would study the laziest person there because you could learn things about efficiency. And now I am lost. I've gone off topic. fully. You have to pull me back in, Teach.
Okay. I was about to take you off further, but I'll pull you back
wait,
in.
no, I'm interested. Where?
Okay. The one thing this is probably another time, and I'm not probably the one to be talking about this, but I was reading up on Braille to kind of prepare, and it reminded me a lot, like the contractions. I saw that too. It reminded me of text messaging, like the way that the contractions were.
How so? The contractions. Gotcha.
And capitalizing letters. How like?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's this capital symbol, right, in Braille for the people who don't know. There's, you place a capital symbol before the letter to denote its capitalization.
And you hit it twice if the whole word is capitalized. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
And that's how my phone works. You hit the little up key if you want the first letter to be capitalized, or you double click it if you want to keep in caps mode.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I wonder
So
if that
the capitalization mark is .6. So if you have, .6 before the letter is capitalized. If you have 2 .6s before the word or sentence, I believe, it's all caps. It represents all caps. And then you would have to have 2 .6s afterwards. But, there's going to be a TBI, hopefully, who will watch this and we'll fix it, guys. We're sorry. We're just curious. We're learning. Curious. Failure is okay, right? This is how we learn. All right. That was a great tangent. Yeah.
Can I share two quick graphs with you?
Yeah, please. Should I not think about them visually?
I don't think you could. It'll be hard for you to draw.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's just dive into it. I'm gonna pour myself a cup of water, so I'll mute myself.
Okay. So this graph is the tangent graph, and it looks like a lot of really stretched out S's, like over and over and over again. So you've got like an almost vertical line, and then it kind of curves like an S, and then it goes back up.
Oh my God. It looks like stripes to me.
And if you zoom out, it's infinite. Like this doesn't end.
Oh. It's sort of like it's like, it looks like fabric. It looks like my fabric, right? So the graph is a red line on white. So, if you zoom out to a certain point, it's going to look pink. If you zoom out to a certain point, it's going to look red. And so if we think about it as a math thing, right, the combination of red and white, right? So, when it's 50% red, then it looks pink. When it's, what I'm saying, 90% red, it looks red. So it's kind of wavy stripes. Tangent, yeah.
Cool shape.
Yeah, this is beyond me. I'm so curious to know how this would sound.
The quick explanation of what this is graphing is if you went around a circle and measured the slope at a given point, like at the top of the circle, the top of the circle, you could lay a ruler on top of it and it would be like flat, right?
Yes.
And
so the sound that you're going to play represents information about a circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
interesting.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
And it jumps around because there's these kind of weird gaps. Let's see what happens. Okay, wait, that didn't work out so well.
No, wait, hold on. Let's talk about it. It was fine. So it definitely made me have a reaction to it. And we also noticed the change of tone. But sometimes, right, when you're using a new modality to describe something to people. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, okay. How about now?
You still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on.
Yeah?
Charlie, you still with me?
Technical difficulties. We'll figure it out in 1 second. There we go. You hear me now, Gabe?
Charlie?
Oh, I lost him.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm here.
Whoa.
I'm back. Oh, we're both back. Okay,
Can we
great.
edit this out later? We can do that, right?
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It wasn't that long. I always say, like, time is relative. Like, a short amount of time can feel extremely long when you feel embarrassed. But I remember exactly what I was going to say before we had the discussion be interrupted, which was sometimes when you're using a new modality to teach something, you have to exaggerate it a little bit to communicate it, you know? So is there something you could do? Because I heard something distinctive there, but it was too fast for me to get it. Could you exaggerate the math a little bit so the sound of that tangent you said?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to slow it
is more distinctive? Would there be a way to do that?
so.
Yeah, it's sharing now.
Basically,
okay, cool.
I think what I'd done was I'd zoomed out, so the it wasn't as distinct because it all blended together. So I zoomed in a little bit, and let's see if this works better, so we can kind of focus in on each little part.
Oh yeah,
that worked.
That's the most banging graph we've heard
That was
yet.
cool. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that definitely feels like it's a part of music. Cool, man. Well, I think we should probably, like, technical difficulties are always a sign. What was that beat?
I know you're about
Do you
to
have a graph of a bee lined up next?
You said music. This was this student, Nathan Lee. I found it online. There's like,
oh my god,
this website Desmos has a contest every year, it seems like, of like, give us your coolest graphs. And this person used the audio trace feature to compose music. Can I play it for you really quick?
Yes, this is a great place.
Do you want to describe what you're seeing on the screen?
I will describe it afterwards. Okay. I feel like, well, do you think you've heard it first? Okay, will it help to describe it?
Let's play it, and I bet it can. That will explain it pretty well. All right.
Yeah, we'll give people enough time to pause and guess. We'll play it, then you could pause the video and guess. So we'll wait a second, and then we'll say what it is.
Yeah, and I'll say someone developed this for the express reason of like making sound. This is not like a graph in the same way.
It's not it's like a special equation for sound. It's not. Yeah, okay, cool.
It looks really complicated. So let's give it a shot.
It does, yeah. Okay, that's great. So if you want to guess what it is, pause the video now. Okay, unpause. I'm going to describe what it looks like, and maybe you've had some thoughts about it too. What's cool about it is it is horizontal stripes, but the lines aren't complete. So if we imagine like the lower horizontal stripes are lower notes and the higher ones are higher notes, and they're interrupted at different lengths. That's kind of like if you were representing it as music, you would have half note, whole note, quarter note. So it's just like stripes of lines of different length, horizontal, they're all horizontal. So there's nothing like that part of the music where like there could be a change in tone that's more dramatic. And then the little bloops you heard, I don't know how they did this, but there's a little bee that's flying up and down. And the bloops were when the musical notes were intersecting with the bee. Did they graph this bee?
Yeah, there's a whole equation for it. It's not really worth going into.
And by bee, I mean the insect.
Do you see this equation?
The equation has lots of numbers, letters, and symbols that,
there's like
I can only describe with the feeling of terror.
Yeah, there's
but it's also so fun. So that like there's all different ways to represent things. It's so cool that like you could, if you wanted to, represent a song, you know, as an equation. So that's a great contest, right? So what's this place called again?
so this is called Desmos.com
Mm-hmm.
and Desmos. And this kid is from Pennsylvania. But I'm just clicking around.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so you can see Gabe's screen right now, and it's just a different all the different graphs of in this competition, and you can do it with sound trace if you want to hear what they sound like. This one is jellyfish. I'm not really sure what it'll sound like, but if you were to,
let's see.
yeah, like can we hear jellyfish?
I think so. This jellyfish is made up of like, what is it? How many is it? 150 different little lines.
Whoa.
So I think we could see only one line at a time. So here's like one of the tentacles. That's like one of the tentacles.
Oh, do a longer tentacle.
Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna. They look like there's even.
Can you click on the thing can you click on the image when will it highlight the graph?
It will, but do you see they're little segments of the tentacle?
Oh, there's segments.
They're not even this took a lot of work. I mean, this was.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I shouldn't. It's very detailed image of jellyfish close up, not like a symbol of a jellyfish, just like a shape with tentacles, like a pretty detailed visual stylization of some jellyfish. There's some floating bubbles too. It's pretty sweet. So, but maybe this would be a fun thing for students, and it seems accessible. We'll confirm it. But I mean, if they put in this much effort, and they have the low vision stuff, and they have the sound stuff, and they have the Braille output, I'm feeling like the odds are good.
Yeah, I think
so. This is great. This is probably our longest episode yet. This is truly one for the fans. I've had a fantastic time. I really want to thank Gabe for you know, joining me here, sharing his desk and his desktop and his knowledge. And you know, I'm sure I think one thing we know is that we could have some more conversations about different ways to talk about math, and it's not just a like blindness thing, a disability thing. It's more of just like the project of teaching, right? What's a way that's going to help someone get this? Maybe it's a sound, maybe it's a tactile drawing, maybe it's even just the fun of a game of somebody trying to draw a sound. That's fun. That'll perk your ears up. So, yeah, Gabe. But before we sign off, I just want to hand the floor over to you for a little bit and give you a chance to bring us home with any thoughts you might have, and you know, feel free to take some time or whatever, bro.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me. It was really cool, and like this was a great conversation, and just thinking about this and just discovering this feature and thinking about how great it is and how much it can help all of my kids. Like next fall, I'm going to have my kids talk about the audio representation of these graphs. And I think that, I know we talked a little about universal design, just like this is going to help my students, and it helps me to kind of see that there's different angles to it. So it's really cool.
I've never thought a graph had a personality before today.
Yeah.
You know, but now they all kind of have different personalities associated with them.
Yeah. And yeah. I guess where I'm going from here is I'm curious about like the engineering decisions of why did you use this frequency? Why did you use this tone?
Yeah.
This is all human decisions, and they thought that was the best way to represent these graphs. And I'm curious, like, kind of how that thought process went.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could find out a little bit about that, and they might have worked with consultants. And sounds like, I mean, for something this thoughtful is usually a group project.
Yeah.
So cool,
Thank you
man.
for
Well, thank
having
you
me,
for
Charlie.
sharing that resource. I'll just, yeah, and thank you for watching Charlie's Desk. We're gonna have more guest desks on different subjects. It's a way to bring in all different subject matters. So thanks for watching.
Thanks, Charlie.